very scary because it takes us back to the days when we were fighting for civil rights and for the right to vote. And they're changing things. What we saw in COVID, we made exceptions and plans for people to expand voting, longer hours, weekend voting at other precincts, creating more precincts. And now we see, because of this election and these results, the big lie now has us in a place, Rob, where we are now seeing a reversal of, years, decades of civil rights that we have now found as it relates to voting. And my thing is, and I'm gonna bring you guys in because I'm gonna ask you guys a question. My thing is with this whole piece is that when we lose our right to vote, we lose our ability to declare who will be the individuals that will govern us. We lose the ability to have our voice. And we have been looking at so many things that are taking place in the community, but it's important that we do not lose sight of this voters' right situation. All right, Rob, the Rob father, he is in the room. Rob, what's going on, sir?
What's happening, man? How you doing? I'm happy to be here on Straight Talk. I hope you heard my special edition of Pastor Soul Sunday featuring the Ohio players.
The Ohio players.
That's right, man.
All right, so Rob, when you look at what's going on across the country and these Republican led Congresses, what comes to mind? What are your thoughts concerning this crazy situation?
They're taking advantage of the situation right now, and they're taking. And in my view, the Democrats are weak. Because the whole filibuster thing should have been done with. We have a Democratic president. We have a majority in the Senate only because of Kamala Harris. Okay, and right now they're not playing fair everywhere else. And so while they're taking advantage of every state that Trump lost, the people there are just allowing the Republicans to do what they want to do. Because how can you pass a law or pass passages that, in fact, don't allow voting rights? We're ready every year or every few years we talk about this whole voting thing. We should be a constitutional amendment. But I have a sore attitude about the whole matter right now. And I fear for 2022 because I think people are going to be a little bit passive, or they're not going to have voter apathy and whatnot. And we may be back in the situation we were 4 years ago. That's my feelings about it.
It's really scary when we begin to look at what's taking place, Rob. You use the term the Democrats are weak. I mean, these guys are playing a sucker game.
Yes.
I'm all about a sucker-free life. So they need to get whatever they need to do to get together. We know that Senator Manchin from, I think it's Virginia, West Virginia is refusing to go along with this filibuster. And we know that it's important for us to do that. That's the only way that they can block legislation is through the power of the filibuster. And so, what do you say?
Democrat in name only.
Yeah. So, City Council, the city manager has decided to put a pause on moving forward with any planning, accepting ideas until the fall. Now, I don't understand why there is a need to wait to the fall for government money that has the ability to impact communities now. When I've talked to our counterparts in both the city of Flint, the city of Lansing, and Detroit, they are bringing in consultants. They are using a portion of those funds to bring in planners and consultants to figure out what is going to be the best way, the most effective way to use these resources, and what does our community think. They've been meeting with the community, and we still have yet for those things to take place here in the city of Saginaw. And I don't know if we're afraid of transformative funds coming into the community. I don't know if, hopefully we'll forget about it, but whatever that is, I'm going to be reaching out to the city manager to have that conversation. And so those of you who are listening, make sure you stay tuned, keep your ear to the mill, to the grindstone, to the ground, and I will make sure that we continually come back with more information as we update you.
I'm glad to mention that because right before your show, before yours, Community Connection with George Harvey, she made a strong plea about that as well. So back to back, that's working for here to Kiss 107.1 for your show and for her show to find out what is going on with the money. Where is the money?
Show me the money. Ain't that Jerry Maguire, Cuba Beauty Jr. on that movie? So I want you all to know we're going to continually ask the questions. I am going to do some investigative reporting, try to get a meeting with the city manager, find out what's going on, what's the plan. Maybe there is a great plan, but there can be no plan without the community because these funds were for the community to have input on what needs to happen in our city. All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to have a conversation with community entrepreneur and businessman Dante Daughtery and his lovely wife. I see her on the other side of the glass pane. So stick and stay, don't go away.
You're listening to Straight Talk with Kareem Bowen on KISS 107.1.
Hey, Steve Harvey, y'all. Here's what happened on the Steve Harvey Morning Show. I confess, I don't like watching my grandkids.
Beautiful grandchildren.
They're beautiful. They crack me up. I don't like watching them. Too much. Stop. Put that down. Where you going? Boy, get out off of that. I don't know how to find
it. You put it on now.
I probably like watching SportsCenter and CNN and Netflix. That's what I'm gonna watch. Papa, I want to drink of that. You can't drink McAllen. KISS 107.1 is your home for the Steve Harvey Morning Show.
Dutch Boy's new Platinum Plus paint with Stain Shield technology has the performance you expect from a luxury paint at a price you didn't. Platinum Plus is up to 50% more washable and stain resistant than a leading premium paint in satin sheen. Superiority ranges from 24 to.
You guys are closed today, right? You're not open today.
New cloth. Menards and Dutch Boy.
Are you open on Sundays? You're open on Sundays.
Go ahead, live your life.
Get 11% off everything now at Menards. Savings are mail and rebates. Store for details.
Is finding the clothes that you love in just the right fit and size an overwhelming task? Experience a new way to shop with Stitch Fix. Our experts select pieces give you the ease of personal styling from the convenience of home. Every piece is curated just for you, for staying home or on the go in your unique style. With Stitch Fix, there's never any subscription required. It's delivered right to your door. Get started today at StitchFix.com. Stitch Fix. Your style delivered.
I already got one warning. Incorrect.
This Plus.com is for Fat Matt's Barbecue. You're going to get a $1 gift certificate for only $10. You can find Fat Matt's Barbecue at various locations this summer. Or even events. All you have to do is check out their Facebook page to see where they are going to be. We've got ribs, pulled pork, beef brisket, and of course, the mac and cheese parfait. If you're going to get barbecue, it's got to be from Fat Matt's. Head to RocketGrabPlus.com right now to snag your deal.
RocketGrabPlus.com. It's Straight Talk with Kareem Bowen on KISS 107.1.
Hey, this is Kareem Bowen, and we're back with more of Straight Talk. And we have with us in the studio on today, I'm going to say Sherelle's name first because I've said Dante's name a million times. But we have Sherelle and Dante Daughtery with us in the house on today. And I just want to just kind of get into some basic conversation. Many of you probably know who Dante is. He's been around. It's not like he's coming from under a rock. People know who he is. But just real quick, Dante, why don't you just give a shout out to our audience and share a little bit with them, who you are, where you're from, that whole thing real quick.
What's going on, Saginaw? This is Dante Daughtery from the north side of Saginaw, Arthur Eddy, Morley, Saginaw High.
Okay.
Class of 90.
And Sherelle, are you also from the city of Saginaw, born and raised?
No, I'm from Trent, New Jersey. Jersey's in the house.
Jersey's in the house. Yes. I was going to say, Rob is getting ready to give you his East Coast shout out. But I wanted to bring you in because one of the key components that we often talk about here on this show is we talk about empowerment. We talk about rebuild the village. We talk about empowerment as it relates to financial responsibilities, and we talk about entrepreneurship. And so that's why I have you guys in with us on today. I had an opportunity to stop by one of your establishments. This was not my first time stopping by the way. But somebody told me, I was talking with someone and they were like, hey, if you want some good tacos, you got to go over to Circus Time.
Yes, sir.
Circus Time Snacks. And I was like, Circus Time Snacks. And I remember seeing it in there. And I thought it was like a little place where kids came and got toys and games and circus food. And I went over there and I was like, oh my goodness, these tacos are the bomb.
Appreciate it.
And so I just looked at the menu and I was like, wow, there's a lot of stuff on this menu. So I want you really quick, as we're building out this conversation, why don't you share with the people what is Circus Time? Circus Time Snacks. Tell us.
In a nutshell, is the circus, the fair, the carnival comes one time a year, and so we wanted to come over to creative idea to have a concession stand all year long. So that's basically what Circus Time Snacking is. You know, you can just come to the circus all year long, the concession stand.
So when you say come into the circus and get your snacks up, what kinds of snacks are we talking about?
Well, you know, I had to throw tacos in there. They don't have tacos, but
Saginaw is I promise you, Saginaw, people all over the world don't realize it, but Saginaw is taco country.
Taco country, yes. So we talking about elephant ears, funnel cakes, fried Oreos, burritos, and then, you know, this goes on, snow cones, cotton candy, the whole nine.
So this is a place where the kid in you can always come out.
Yes, sir.
And I think the word you said was a funnel cake or elephant ear.
Funnel cake, elephant ears, fried Oreos.
Wow. And so you don't have to wait once a year for that neighborhood carnival to come around or the circus to happen in town.
Right.
But you can actually come out and you can get food that you desire whenever your craving hits. And so I thought it was an amazing idea that you came up with. Now, tell us, how have things been going with everything happening with COVID, restaurants shutting down? I mean, the world shutting down.
Yeah.
And how have you been able to fare and how have you been able to weather the storm through this COVID period to now be, yet open on the other side of this, hopefully the other side of this pandemic?
Yes, sir. That's the thing. People don't realize God gives us witty ideas. And I don't sit around and wait on no one to tell me what I can do, what I can't do. So we're led by God, man. And the thing is, I played, we had this before the pandemic hit. And unfortunately, I couldn't even open when the pandemic hit. I had to wait till everything was lifted. But I took that energy and I continued to build my store. I had the menus made and all that stuff. And it was just me and the mall manager in there, only two in there. And we just kept building because my wife and I mind is we about building people, about empowering people, like what you're saying, about employing people, helping the young kids, helping the people that's in need. That's what about this whole, it's more than just the store, the circus itself. We're about giving back to the people. We community people. That's our whole thing. So through this pandemic, I knew that God would see us through it. Anything above nothing is something, and that's how we look at it, and that's how we survive it, man. We just push it forward.
Now, for those of you listening, we're talking about Circus Time Snacks, and they are located in the full court at the Saginaw Fashion Square Mall. Now, Sherelle, Dante just gave this very powerful, strong, curated answer about surviving the pandemic.
Yeah.
I want to know, when you were looking at everything that was happening, first the world shut down. And then it seemed like they were never going to allow restaurants to open again. Then you were open on a limited capacity. And I think now we're kind of almost open, 100% open. During that period of time when you were going through what seemed to be a nightmare situation, what was going through your mind and how did you encourage yourself through the midst of that storm?
Well, like you said, it was always God first. It's always the calm in the storm. And when you're focused, it's almost like, who was on the water? Was it Peter? Who was on the water?
Peter.
Walking on the water. And it's almost, if you stay focused on God, all this stuff that's happening won't rock you or shake you, right? And so that has been our whole life and everything that we do. Everybody that knows us, they know that we're always focused on God. And so in midst of all the distractions, all the turbulence, all this and all that, we always stay focused on God. And we say, God, you are a source in everything.
Yeah.
If it's meant for us to get $1 today, we're going to take that dollar and we're going to flip it. We're going to keep flipping it. But God is our source. And so keeping focused on God is what kept us through the storm.
Okay, anybody who's listening, we now understand that this is not just any family, but this is a family of faith. They have a faith in God. How has your faith, and this is something that is right off the cuff, I wasn't planning to ask this question, but since she said what she said, I got to ask this follow-up. How has your faith been impacted over the past 16, 17 months?
That's it. It don't bother us, man. It makes me stronger, man. I'm telling you, I'm a fighter. I play sports. You know what I'm saying? I had to run track in the rain, slipping and everything. So I was built for this years ago, not knowing that this was going to come. So I look at things a lot different than a lot of people. People say, no, you think you don't fail. No, even in my what people call failing, I built from that. That's called a step. That's going to take me higher to the next step. That's how I look at it, man. So I just think different. I don't think I'm better than nobody else. But I look at that, God, I trust you. My faith is crazy, man. people don't know real quick. I'm gonna throw this side note in. We moved to Maryland with $365. People thought we was crazy, thought we was gypsies. But I had to go because I was told that it's going to strengthen my ministry and so forth, and it's going to help me with things like this coming up. And by doing that, I had to tell my wife this, and I was worried at that point. I'm saying, what's she gonna say about this? Because you got the family, ain't just me.
Right.
But the thing is, I told her, I said, you got to get 7 pairs of outfits, 2 shoes. I'm like, oh man, she gonna leave me because I'm about to mess with her closet. You know?
Man, you gotta leave them shoes. I don't know where you're gonna tell them we're going somewhere.
Right.
7 outfits and 2 pairs of shoes.
And that's how God gave it to me. I told her, I said, and the thing that was said to me, God said, you will never lack. He said, you go, you will never lack. When I went, the jobs that we had set up for us was taken. I'm like, what are we gonna do? You know about Labor Ready, right?
Right.
So we had to think quick. I'm from Saginaw. I had to think quick. We grabbed Labor Ready, got some jobs. We had to stay in a motel, not a hotel. We stayed in a motel. And then this pastor came through, so forth. I'm a musician. Everything worked out to where this pastor said, you know what? I see you in need and you would never lack. And I remember what God told me, and I had to tell my wife. And from that day forward, man, that thing right there, you talking about faith. That's why I was like, if I can go through that, man, this pandemic, this is nothing to me, man. This is nothing. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so now you're in
Maryland.
Maryland. Okay, so how did you end up back in Saginaw with Circus Time Snacks?
My father fell ill, and I was just stopping through to visit, to check on him. And then I told my wife at the time, I said, you know what? I think it's meant for us to stay here because I had an offer out in Texas to do some music out there. But I said, I think it's meant for us to stay here. And I said, so why don't you just go into your career, your HR? And then she ended up in Covenant, so forth. And I ended up playing at churches and getting jobs and so forth. And that's when the idea of Circus Time Snacks came to do that. So that's how that came about. And we're here.
All right. So when you guys are thinking of Sherrill, I think this is a great time for you to jump in. When you think about where you guys are today, when you first started out that pathway to start a new business, for all of the young budding entrepreneurs that are out there, someone who says, you know, I think I want to start a business. Mm-hmm. Where did you start? Where did you find your inspiration? How did this come into being? Okay, I know we can just say, okay, we're going to start a business, and it didn't just pop your fingers and end up overnight. But how did you get to the place that you are today? What was step number one?
Step number one was participating in the festivals. So the festivals that we participate with the Black Arts Festival, we were out there with a table. We had a snow cone machine and had our kids out there. But that was step number one, to see if that was something that we wanted to do.
So you were testing the market. At the festivals that already existed in the community.
That's right.
Okay, so you had snow cone machines, cotton candy machines, hot dogs, hamburgers, cotton candy. Okay, so you started with testing the waters, and people don't understand this, how important it is. There's something called the SWOT analysis that you need to do for whenever you're opening a business. That's right. And that tells you what your strengths are, your weaknesses, your the things that can be a burden or that will oppose you. And what you did, one of those key things is finding out what is your market niche. Right. And so what you were saying you did is you said, we're going to do this, but before we get out there and get a big time bill and go get a loan and get financed, why don't we use...
Which we never got. Keep going.
And we'll talk about that. What are the things that are already in place that we can utilize and be smart about, keeping our overhead down to begin? And so you said, you went to Black Arts Festival. Are there some other places that you went as well?
We even set up tents at different places. We went to one of the
Family Dollar
store, Family Dollar, asking different people. We can set up our tents out in their parking lots without no food truck. So doing things like that as well.
So y'all was hustling.
Yeah.
Straight up hustling.
Yeah.
Okay, so how do we move? Okay, now there's only so many festivals that are there. We want to start this business. How do we finally say, okay, if we're gonna do this, we got to organize, we got to corral, we got to begin to make some serious steps. How do we begin that process of moving from this gypsy-like entity to becoming a full franchise restaurant or full size restaurant. Excuse me, I don't want to use the word franchise, but a full service restaurant. How do we do that, Dante?
Well, like we said, we checked out the area. And we end up on Court Street because we played off of the MLS Catholic school over there, Lutheran school,
Michigan Lutheran Seminary.
Yeah, we played off of that, and then we looked at the area. There was no food in that area, so we studied in that area. And so, not knowing, we found the building that was not coded for food, but the health department, allowed us to finish out our lease we was only there for 10 weeks, and after that,
how did you find out? Because I think that's a common mistake that many business owners. How did you find out, or how should someone find out if they're interested in opening a restaurant? How did you find out your business wasn't coded for food?
When I went to the city to pay my bill, and they were like, "Wait a minute, this is not coded for a restaurant," and they schooled me on that because like us, we was hustling, we just wanted a building and so forth, but it wasn't coded. So they taught us the lessons real quick, and then we got real cool with the health department. They explained to us that we need the floors like McDonald's. There's a certain floor you need, sinks and so forth. And so they kind of schooled us in that time. And that's when we kind of started heading towards the mall. We did a poll. We said, should we go, was the Old Town Saginaw or to the mall? And the poll.
Who are we polling?
This was the city. We got a Facebook page, so we just put it out. Now, this is crazy. Majority of people said Old Town Saginaw, and I kept looking at the mall because I was like, wait a minute, common sense is foot traffic.
Right.
Old Town Saginaw kind of dies down after 6 o'clock.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? The truth. And I was like, wait a minute, we need to go where people are. So we thought about it, and I just crazily we went on up there in November 2019. We got the keys.
Wow, November. So you guys are actually embarking upon 2 years of being in business coming up, right?
Yes.
And
yeah.
This coming year. All right. So why the name Circus Time Snacks?
Because I thought of the circus and the idea, like I said, there's no circus around. I was craving for an elephant ear. And my wife was like, she's from Jersey. She's like, what is an elephant ear? And I was like, you don't know what an elephant ear is? Well, I found out from her mom that they call it sweet dough.
Okay.
So it was a different name, but I was craving for it. So I said, man, we got to open something like this and I think it'll work. Because from the kid all the way up to 100 plus, I think it will work. And hey, man,
you get a craving for an elephant ear, it'll give you like my my one shameless desire, which is Big Boy's ice cream hot fudge cake.
Yeah,
I remember that. Man, have you driving to Bridgeport? Have you driving to Bay City looking for something? But Circus Time Snacks, man, I came in and I was reading the menu and looking at all of the things that are really novelties that you guys have incorporated into a brand. Yes. So now when you think of the circus, you don't have to wait. You can go out there and get this stuff. But you did something else. You capitalize on, because I was looking at the toys and the things that were.
Yes.
How did you conceptualize this business, Circus Time? Because this is really a big business and there's a lot on the menu. Most people tell you that if you're going to start a business, you should stick with a couple things, do those things right. But not at Circus Time. We got cotton candies, tacos, hot dogs. I mean, everything on the menu. Then we come to the kids counter, and there's all of these toys that are directly related and targeted, marketed towards children. How did you guys come up with the concept with what to carry and what not to carry?
Well, because we have children, and we include them, man. You know what I'm saying? We get ideas, not just mom and I. We include them. We got a team, and we talk, and then we watch the parents when the children come in the mall. You know how they are, man. You know, they acting up somebody. We got to cater to them too as well. So I said, let's include the games as well. We got the spinning wheel. You know, it was really Russ D. Shout out to my boy Russ D. Said we should get a wheel, and so I incorporated that with the idea that you can spin it for so many spins, whatever, you can win. You walk away with something. So I wanted to give them that real circus carnival feel. So that's how we came.
Sherelle, I noticed that Dante mentioned that the kids were involved. When I came out there, the kids are working.
Yes, sir.
Okay, like, no, you're not just gonna come over here talking about this is gonna be legacy. You're gonna put them boots on, and you are going to work. And you said something to me that your kids actually can run this place
without
you even being there.
Yes, sir.
How important, Sherelle, was it for you to have or to create something where your children could be a part of what you were doing? And how did you motivate them to be a part of what's happening at Circus Time?
Well, even before Circus Time Snack, we always had a love for youth. We had a after school program, Next Generation Tuesdays. We had over 155 kids enrolled in that program. So our ministry is for youth. And so whatever we do for the youth in the community, we also have to start at home with our own children.
Absolutely.
And so my background is in human resources, 17 years. And so I love training. I love pouring into the youth as well about communication, about work ethics, about development, self-development, appreciation, all of those things. So I trained my children since they were like 3 years old. I mean, they were separating clothes and, they were always working in the house doing something, right? So it was almost natural for them to be included in this process. And being as though, like, we was talking about your pond, their pond is different from our pond, right? So we asked them, how can we reach your pond, right? And they said, well, you know what? You might want to have those LED lights, Mom and Dad. You might want to have some of these toys or these candies or these chips. A lot of the chips I don't even eat. I don't even know about it.
Right.
But it's come from them because that's their pond. And so we include them in everything: marketing, social media, uniform, just foods, all these different things. So it's a natural progression for them to be there.
So these kids actually have a voice.
Yes, they have a voice
in what's taking place. I think that this is absolutely phenomenal. Now, for those of you who are listening, just to make sure that you're clear on what Sherelle was saying, she was talking about pond, P-O-N-D. And I think if I could summarize what she was saying is that they come from a different, we pikes and catfish and bullheads, because we are people of a certain age, right? But when you want to get the sunfish and the guppies, you have to fish in different pond waters.
Yes.
And so I always say to people that you catch what you bait for.
That's right.
And so if you want to make sure that young people are a part of what you're doing, you gave us an indication of something that the city is listening to. Because oftentimes what happens is we create programs for young people, and then young people get in here and like, we don't want to be a part of this. This is so bogus. This is bogus, this is whack, whatever the term is.
Right.
But what you guys did is, and hopefully a lot of us are listening in and leading into this question, this portion of this. What you guys did is you noticed the value that your young people have, and then you gave them a voice in the process. And then they were able to be a part of the creative process. So you built Circus Time with them and not for them.
That's right.
Okay. So your children. So what is it that? How do they get? I wish I had one. Is that one of your kids over there?
Yeah.
All right. I really wish. Can we get them on the air just really quick? Aria. And Aria, I think I met you when you came into the store. Why don't you just have a seat real quick, right there where your mom was sitting? Aria. Okay. You are now a business owner. You are a young entrepreneur. Okay. How do you feel and what is your role at Circus Time?
So I feel great to work at Circus Time. What I do is I work on the cash register, I cook in the back, and I clean.
Okay, so how did you end up did you go to your parents, or did they just give you a job and say you are now enlisted? This is a draft. This is your job. How did you end up working at Circus Time?
They asked us, did y'all want to work at Circus Time? And then me and my brother, we always like working. We love working.
Where did y'all get these kids from?
That's Saginaw, New Jersey mix.
Okay. Go ahead, Aria.
But yeah, we like working. We like helping our parents and stuff and learning new stuff from them because they teach us about everything and how we work and stuff and how to manage stuff and then all those type of stuff.
Tell me something that you have learned in this process of building Circus Time. This is actually one of the most exciting parts of this interview to me. Go ahead, Aria.
About attitude, you always have to have a good attitude. When you have a good attitude, you bring more people to your store. If you have a bad attitude, you push away more people.
Attitude determines altitude.
Mm-hmm.
If you have the right attitude, you treat people right, then you truly can soar. Aria, okay, as a business owner, now you said you work at Circus Time. Do you consider yourself an owner, part owner of Circus Time?
Yes.
Okay, because you said you worked there. I just wanted to make sure. Now, what is this lesson of ownership? What's a lesson of ownership that you've learned? Because your parents have shown you now that you have the ability to build, to create, to construct and design a business, and now you are an owner. What does ownership mean to you as you look at where you guys are with Circus Time? What does it mean to you? When you look at this, how do you feel owning your own business?
Oh, I feel good because you don't have to work for nobody else. You can just work for yourself.
And what does working for yourself feel like? How does that make you feel?
Good, because you're making your own money. You can work when you want to and stuff like that.
Okay, so if there's someone else, another young person that's out there, and they're thinking, hey, maybe one day I can open up a business. You are a part of the team that has opened up Circus Time, right? Circus Time Snacks. What advice would you give that young person who might be listening out there on what they should do, and if they're able to pursue and achieve their dreams of opening and becoming their own business owner?
To list their ideas of what they want to open up, and to Google stuff on their items or whatever they're trying to get and stuff like that, and then work on most of their stuff.
Aria, you have been absolutely fantastic. Okay, I want you to give me just real quick in moving from you as a part of this segment. I want you to give me, for someone else that's out there, let them know what is the best thing about being an entrepreneur.
The best thing about being an entrepreneur is you just having
what? Take your time. Come on. I know you're a young woman. You weren't expected to be on the air, and I brought you on here. And she's like, I'm gonna get this dude. He's got me on here. But what is the best thing about owning your own business?
just working for yourself and not nobody else.
Working for yourself. Do you have a sense of pride that you are a business owner?
Yes.
Yes. And do you think that this is the only business that you'll be a part owner in, or are you thinking of new ideas and new things that are on your list already?
New ideas that's on my list.
All right. I want to thank you, Aria, for your input. I think speaking with you has been absolutely phenomenal. You are a breath of fresh air. Y'all go check out Aria. She is over there getting her sweat equity in over at Circus Time Snacks or whatever. She made my tacos and they were the bomb, Aria. So I want to thank you for that. Okay, but Dante, okay, yes, so we're here 2 years ago, almost 2 years, we have Circus Time Snacks. Mm-hmm. You are a black man in the community of Saginaw. What made you think that you could do this?
Man, I told you, I think differently, man. I'm thinking about my wife. I'm thinking about my children. And we have real conversations around the table. I'm old school. We sit around the table. We eat together. And we always talk. And I was like, there's nothing like owning your own business. Let's do what we like to do. So that'll be one of the less things we have to worry about is finances and so forth. And then on top of that, we can help others that's willing to be entrepreneurs. We can show them. Because that's the thing, man. People are so stingy. We had to learn a lot of stuff on our own to the point where we had to do all this studying. So to the point now, my wife and I built a separate business where we actually helping other people start business.
Okay, we need to have that conversation.
Yes, sir.
All right, because I'm looking for, and I'm glad that you said that. I've been working with entrepreneurs, and I'm actually working with some presidents and CEOs of companies that are interested in getting minority businesses and individuals who desire to have businesses together for a lot of the training and things that you're talking about. Tell us about your business. Is it up and running? Are you out there? What's
we do nonprofit, we do for-profit. And like we got a young lady, we're taking it to Bay City. She does customized shoes. She did our shoes for Circus Time Snacks. And a young lady that we believed in, so we like to get them young, and so we pushing her forward. We do all our paperwork, and we don't only just do it, but we actually show her.
Well, so when you say paperwork, let's be specific.
Yes, sir.
So that we can let them know. Sherelle, when we're talking about paperwork, let's be specific of what you guys are able to help. Because I'm going to tell you, there's going to be somebody listening. What was the name of that organization? Those people, and what was that paperwork that they were able to help with? So, Sherelle, when we say that you're helping, a part of what you're doing, aside from this is spun off, you've learned the process. You say, you know what? I bet you there's somebody else out there that we can help.
That's right.
What types of things are you guys assisting young budding entrepreneurs with?
Pretty much anybody who wants to start a business.
That's right.
LLCs, making sure you have your LLC. Because a lot of things, we're talking about these programs.
LLC, let's make sure that they know what that is. Go ahead.
Liability. Because the thing is, you have to be set up correctly with the IRS and the state. When these grants are coming through, even though you're providing the service, if your paperwork with the IRS and the state is not current or active or available, you're not going to be eligible for these programs. So there's a lot of money being funneled into small businesses, but a lot of times, a lot of people are providing services, but they don't have their LLC. They don't have an EIN number. They don't have, bank accounts in their company's names. They don't have a legit business address or phone number or email address or what. I mean, just these are basic things. But if you don't have these basic things, you can't even go into talking about business credit, right? So, because that's a taboo thing.
What is that? Sherelle, it's important. As you were talking about what you were saying, it's important for those who are listening that think, hey, I got a business, I got a DBA. A DBA is not a business entity, it's not a business structure. So you have to make sure that are you a 501c3? Are you a corporation? Are you a sole proprietor? What is your business structure? And what you're saying is that we've got to make sure that we educate our community on getting all of the documentation. You said something that is so important, and I want to make sure that we highlight this particular statement, making sure that you have a business account.
Yes.
There's something called commingling of funds, which can get you into prison really, really, really fast. Because businesses are to be separate entity from the individual. So you're saying, hey, we're going to teach them how to get business accounts, because a business account is different than a checking account, personal checking account, and a personal savings account, and the two should not be mingled together. What other things are you helping individuals in the community to understand, and how can someone reach out to you if they're interested in being a part of what you're doing?
Even getting contracts. I know a lot of people are nervous about stepping out, right? Stepping out. We had to step out with no help, and we tried to get help. So a lot of the
let's talk about that in just a second. Let's talk. He said it earlier, and I stuck a feather in my head, because that is a real issue. But stepping out, okay, you've been in your basement long enough. You've been in the den long enough. You've been running your business out of the back of your trunk. Okay, now it's time to step out. Okay, let's take a leap of faith, and now it's time to step out. So go ahead.
So, and then having $1 million insurance, right? And not saying, oh, well, I don't have all this. It's just a step-by-step process. Who should I talk to? Who do I need to talk to? The contracts, reading contracts, knowing what they're responsible for and not responsible for, if you're going to get a lease or not. These are a lot of basic things. But again, when the government is saying, oh, all this money is available for minority businesses and things like that, majority of the minority businesses can't even tap into the money because they're not structurally set up correctly.
We do not have our business papers together.
There you go.
All right. So, and we saw this, and I haven't talked about this, but this whole PPP loans, cousin Jerry and cousin Luann or whoever it is, they come up with $100,000 business, because there's pandemic. And if you make $100,000, you get $20,000 in this PPP money. But hello, people, there's something called records and documentation. And, if you didn't say that you had a business that made $100,000 on your tax returns the year before the pandemic, or the year after, guess what? The IRS is going to be knocking on your door saying, hey, you reported that you made $100,000 from this business, and your little $20,000 it's probably going to be a drop in the bucket of the penalties and fines that you're dealing with. So if someone, Sherelle, wants to come in and they want to get connected and they're saying, listen, I need some help, what's the name of your entity? And then how can they contact you guys?
Well, it's actually called Development.
What's that?
DOTT.VELOP as in Paul, MENT, Development.
Development.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that development
Development.
.com.
Okay. And so do you have a phone number that they could reach you by phone, or would you prefer for them to go directly to your website?
So they could go directly to the website, to
We
.development.com.
do the email to their Gmail.
Yep, and the Gmail account as well. And so we really want to get back to that because there's our lessons learned. We teach our youth that there's no L's. See, the L's to youth is a loss, right?
Loss, yeah.
But there's no L's. There's lessons learned. And so we want to be able to teach those lessons learned so other people, because we're talking about building communities, right? The only way we're going to be able to build communities is share the information, right?
Right.
So we shouldn't have to be going over the same cycle over and over and over again, starting from ground zero. If we share the information, I don't lose anything from sharing information with you. I don't lose anything. We gain because we're sharing information with each other.
We are. Y'all don't realize it. My head is going a million miles per hour right now. Our show content director and brand manager, Yvonne Daniels, is like, "Oh my God, great show, great information." But no, there's no way that you could have ever known that there is such a synergy between what you guys are doing in terms of providing information and education and training, and what I am doing with what we call KBS Creative Business Solutions. And this is for the purpose of building entrepreneurs, making them aware and helping them out. We are going to have a meeting off this air, all right?
Yes, sir.
Because I think that when we build the key to a successful future, and we've been talking a lot about Black Wall Street, but the key to really rebuilding the village is going to be small businesses.
That's right.
Yeah.
They are the backbone of America, and they will be the backbone of the Black community.
Yeah.
So when you begin, Dante, to look at what you're doing, and Circus Time, we've talked a little bit already, and I don't know what you're ready to let out of the bag. What we see at the Fashion Square Mall is step one. What else is on the horizon as it relates to small businesses and creating more dynamic opportunities for our community?
Well, I'm gonna bust it out because I shared it with you a little bit. Just last week, I received the keys and the contract with Bay City Mall. So I'll be going in there in September, and then we're gonna start expanding even more to Great Lakes and so forth. Teaming up with our sister Sierra out there.
Sierra,
our girl. Yes.
Man, she be killing her brother over there with them cookies. But yes, delicious sweets.
Yes, sir.
So you're going to be headed down to Great Lakes eventually with Sierra.
Yes.
She is doing a phenomenal job. So you guys are really following the blueprint. Sierra Warren, I want to tell you this. You are a trailblazer.
Yes.
And I love it when I see things like this happen, because when one of us makes it, all you got to do is turn around and give the blueprint. SBRC, Fashion Square Mall. Now she's down to Great Lakes Crossing, doing great things. And you're saying, hey, we're going Bay City. We're going Great Lakes Crossing. Now, when someone else comes up and they can ask you the question, how did you do it? And how do you expand from one location to the next location? That's what it calls. That's what it means to build a village and share information. All right. So you're going to be doing that. Do you have anything on the horizon? Now, I asked you this question, and I'm sure people are going to ask this question. Is Circus Time Snacks something you bought into? Is this an, what do you call it? A chain that you bought into? Or where did this come from?
I told you, sitting on the bed on the elephant ear in the wintertime. So the fair comes in the fall. So just from that idea, and a concession stand all year long, and we're just running with it, man.
So this is not a franchise that you bought into?
No, this is ours.
But this is your brand, your business.
Yes, sir.
That you're opening up marquee stores in various places. Now, I got to ask you the question, is there a thought process of eventually one day maybe doing some franchising?
That would be down the line, but right now our legs still strong, and we want to be a part of it. You know,
so you want to be a part of the expansion.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Why take a percentage
right
when we can set up the brick and mortar spots? I got it.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
But our thing is, though, we do, and we thank God for First Ward because we are entered our third year with them, providing those youth training as well, the youth program.
What kind of training you providing over there with Michelle McGregor at First World Community Center? That's my sister from another mother.
Yep, Rob Brown over there, Eric Henderson. They had the DNR Youth Summer Program.
Right.
So we've done our second year with training them on work ethics, work development, self-development, communication, like my she's been a part of communication, attitude. Those are the two things we're seeing that our youth need a lot of development in. I don't know if it's because of the social media and the lack of verbal communication, but they're lacking in that area. And so even though social media is great, but we're still communicate. There's still some time in some places where we're going to have to communicate to each other, and them looking down constantly or turning away or saying that I was told not to look an adult in the face, right? And so when you go into the business world and things like that, if you're looking down or not having an eye, these are basic things. And so we teach them and train them on these things. 3 days. We did this year from 8 to 10 o'clock in the morning for 3 days straight before we opened up our business. And then we employed about 5 or 6 of them from that program.
Now, I'm glad you said that because I'm going to ask you that. You guys have opened up a new business. How many new jobs have you created here in the city of Saginaw?
It's been 9 now so far.
So 9 jobs with what you guys currently have. And so we're adding more jobs to communities with opening up these new opportunities.
Correct.
All right. Now I got to ask you this question because you were talking about soft skills. So you guys are not just entrepreneurs, but you're also educators.
Yes.
That's right.
Okay. So explain to us this partnership between education and entrepreneurship.
Well, I think it goes hand in hand. I mean, life is a lesson learned, right? And so there's a lot of things that we need to know, right? Knowledge is power, and that is so true. And a lot of times we don't succeed because we don't have that knowledge. It's not that we're dumb or stupid or uneducated or ignorant. It is just a lack of knowledge. Someone told me, well, it's just common sense. Well, no, it's not common sense unless we have the common experience. So unless we're exposed to these different things, right, then we won't know, right? And then we can't exceed, right? And then we feel like we are failures or that, we have this glass ceiling or whatever. But we want to train people and let them know, here's the information, right? You can take it or leave it. I'm gonna tell you about it. You take it or leave it, apply it, right? If you don't apply it, now if I give you the keys, we tell them, I give you the key, you have to put it in the doorknob, you have to turn it, right? And then you got to open the door.
That's right.
Keys on a keychain have never opened a single door.
Never.
So we have to put in some effort to make that happen.
Faith without works is dead.
I always say faith without works is a graveyard full of promises. All right, I want to get back to a very key piece because we talked about it and I pulled us away from it and I want to come back to it. Financing your dream. Every entrepreneur has, a great idea. They're excited. They have come up with something that they believe is a viable piece of the future. But there's always that question, especially in communities of color, how am I going to finance this dream? So why don't you share with us, because I know you said not a single one gave you a loan or whatever, but why don't you guys share with us how you guys were able to finance your dream?
Well, for us, we did try to go for the loans. We tried to go for all the city grants and all that stuff. And it was always something that we didn't meet and come down to your credit scores. And I told them in the beginning, we had to use every dime out of our pocket. We had to make sacrifices in order to open our business. So I knew my credit score was going down. So I said, so I can tell you that thing is messed up. I'm gonna tell you right
that thing. Because we didn't put everything on credit cards to keep this thing going.
To keep it going. And then through the process, we learned, like through this step through the mall, that's when we got educated on business credit and all this stuff, so it don't be on the person, like you were saying, because we made that mistake of putting it on us. So now we learn how to separate now. So we said, now we're able to help the next person, so they don't have to go through what we went through. You know what I'm saying? So
people, once again, they're talking about there's two entities.
Yeah.
Your business is an entity, and then you are an entity. And so as much of that you can put, this is what the rich folk do.
Come on.
Yeah.
They use business credit.
There you go.
Because if something doesn't go right with the business, you can always write it off and walk away.
Walk away.
But if you use your personal credit, you are now putting yourselves in dire straits.
Taking your house.
And they're taking your house, and everything that you own now is a part of this debt that now has to be paid back. I want to thank you guys, Rob. How much time do we have? About 2 minutes. I want to thank you guys really for coming in and sharing this information. Real quick, Sherelle, if you could give us how they can contact you guys once again, if they want to be a part of your educational seminars or your training that you're providing for young entrepreneurs.
Okay, yep. Please contact us. You can come to the Fashion Square Mall. You'll see us there all the time, first of all. And then going to dott.development.com. That's also the Gmail as well. Feel free to stop by, connect with us. We're always available and willing to help and share information.
All right, awesome. Do you guys have a physical location for that entity?
No,
Not yet.
Okay, we're going to work on that now.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about that because I got space for you guys, all right? I want to thank all you guys that are out there listening to this episode of Straight Talk with Kareem Bowen. I certainly want to thank the Dotteries of Circus Time Snacks for coming here today. I had no idea that today's session would be so informative. So if you're out there and you're saying, listen, I think I have an idea, I have a dream, there's something that has been on my mind, but I'm a little afraid, I need to have some support so that I can make this dream a reality. I want you to reach out to them or send us a message here at Straight Talk or KissWTLZ.com, and we will make sure that you get the help that you need to make your dreams become a reality. I want to thank you guys for tuning in today. And as always, I want to say grace and peace.
You've been listening to Straight Talk with Kareem Bowen on KISS 107.1. The views and opinions expressed on Straight Talk with Kareem Bowen by the host